Hi, I'm Marcus Coward, and this is Greater New Bedford, and I'm here with Lisa Ortiz-Capello. Lisa, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, for those who know you, but especially for those who don't, okay, let's start to give them a little bit of a background about who you are, and we can start with, where are you from?
So I'm originally from Amherst, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yep.
And then how long have you been in New Bedford for?
I've been in New Bedford for the past 7 years.
Okay.
Yep.
And then so, how did you hear about New Bedford? Why did you move here from Amherst?
So there's a series of events that happened for me to get here.
Okay.
So when I first graduated college, I went to UMass Amherst. And I graduated around 2011, and I moved to Boston. So I was in that area for about a year trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I started at I don't know if you want me to go into this already.
No, please. Yeah.
So I started at a real estate agency. So I graduated with business management degree. So I was trying to find something in that sector. I really wanted to be in corporate America. Couldn't find a job from the beginning. So I decided to be an office manager at this real estate agency. And that's kind of how I got involved with real estate back in 2011.
Okay.
So it was in Harvard Square, and it was a very busy office. They did a lot of rentals. So the broker at the time wanted me to get my license because if we had a walk-in and there was no agents on duty, I had to help. So that's kind of how I started. So I started with rentals and just helping people as they came in, and I realized I loved it. But something in me was like, go to corporate America. Like, that's why you studied business. So you have to use your degree. Like, that's ingrained in our head.
Sure.
So that's when I found a job in Pawtucket, actually at Hasbro.
Okay.
Yep. So
Oh, wow.
so that was like the beginning of my like corporate career. So once I was there, I lived in Providence. Then I started working at Alex and Ani, which is also in
Yeah.
Rhode Island. Yep. So I worked there, and then slowly transitioned to Reebok, and that's where
Okay.
the last of my like corporate experience ended at Reebok. So, and I was commuting from at that point. I was commuting from Providence, and then also eventually ended up in New Bedford.
Sure.
Yeah. So I actually live here because my husband is from here.
And so, what was your major in college?
So business management.
And so, what made you want to do that?
Something in me since I was young always wanted to do it. Like I did Future Business Leaders of America. That was it was like a club in our school. So I was in that, and then I ran the school store. So I was like, I want to be like like I saw myself being like a senior VP or like this
Okay.
corporate exec at one point. Like that completely changed clearly. But that's where I saw myself. Even young, I thought, I want to be a businesswoman. Like it just was always in my head. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's what I went to school for, and that's what I graduated with.
And was there people to inspire you for that, or did that just kind of come out of your own imagination?
Yeah, it kind of just came from me because I'm like, my dad worked for the government, and then my mom was a teacher.
Okay.
So originally I wanted to be a teacher, and she drilled it in my head, like, don't do it, like, don't be a teacher.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
She always told me, because she's like, it's difficult, like parents, and the standards, the things you have to follow is really frustrating, like, you don't get enough praise. Like, she kind of drilled it in my head. So I'm like, okay, like, what can I do? What can I be? And then I think I just always saw myself as like becoming this very like, in my mind, it was like a powerful woman was like a businesswoman, like a suit, like a briefcase.
Okay.
So like that's kind of what like brought me to, all right, I want to be a businesswoman. Like that's what I want to do.
And did you get to use the briefcase?
I use it now. I use
Yeah,
it now.
okay,
I couldn't use it in
gotcha.
corporate America. That would have been very weird.
Okay.
Especially like the jobs that I have were very like Reebok was super casual. Like people were in sneakers. Like
Sure. Okay.
So I couldn't. I'd look a little crazy with the sneakers. And
Yeah,
sweatpants.
you'd be a little scary.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's why.
And so, how would you define corporate America? I feel like that's something a lot of people hear, but they
Okay.
don't actually have a clear definition of what that is.
For me, corporate America was just like working for one of these like really big companies, like well-known. For me, that's what it was.
Okay.
So like Reebok, like I said, Alex and Ani, Hasbro, like being a part of like these big, well-known corporations and just like being a part of something just like grand. Like that's what I had in my mind. So corporate America, that was corporate America to me. And like
Sure.
becoming a senior vice president or like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I saw as like corporate America.
And is it what you expected?
Yes and no, right? So I learned a lot. I got to travel to like China, Vietnam. Like I got to do some really cool things, meet some awesome people, learn so much. But what I learned is it's a lot of politics. And I know a lot of industries are like that, but I saw that climbing the corporate ladder took a lot of like, I'm gonna say this very PC, a lot of like, oh my God, how do I say this in a PC way? Like, you have to try to
Like play the game almost.
play the game. Thank you.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, yeah. So you have to try to play the game, and I just that's not me.
Sure.
And it just felt inauthentic. So there was like one moment that I realized, I'm like, all right, I need to do something else. Because at the time, I remember my boss was a woman, and she was like the director of our group. And I remember she wanted to take a vacation, and she was telling us, oh, I'm hoping to go, I forget where she wants to go, but I'm hoping to go on vacation. I just need to get my time approved. Hopefully so-and-so approves my time. And I was like, wow, this lady has busted her behind in corporate America. She has climbed the ladder. She's now a director. Like, I looked up to her, honestly. And I'm like, and here she is asking for time off, like, and hoping it gets approved. I'm like, is that gonna be me in like 30 years?
Sure.
So then I was just kind of like, at that point is when I already had been thinking about real estate again. Like, it was always in the back of my mind, but then I was like, all right, I need to work for myself. Like, I really need to work for myself.
And so before you got in corporate America, you may have mentioned this, but you were already interested in real estate?
Yeah, so because I started off in that real estate office, I kind of like learned, like I had no clue if I wanted to do real estate, but it was a job. Like, I was just like, okay, I can be an office manager. And I learned to do like, I did the books, I learned just so much for a transaction from beginning to end. So like, just learning that, I was like, oh, I really like this. I enjoy this. I like helping people. I liked, meeting new people, going on showings, like helping them find their, their home or their apartment. So that's what like, I knew that I loved, but I kept it on the back burner because I was in corporate America for about 8 years. Okay. And then when I was thinking like, okay, I want to be my own boss, I'm like, what can I do? How do I get there? And then I'm like, well, I did love real estate. Why don't I explore that again? So I renewed my license in about 2018, and I decided to do real estate again.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so since you were younger, do you feel like you always had an extroverted personality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always. I would say borderline, like class clown when I was younger. Okay. But yes, yeah, I was always just very much like people person, like friends, social. That's always been me.
And so, do you feel like you need the extroverted personality in order to do real estate?
I think it helps for sure.
Yeah.
I think it helps because you're client facing. So, and also like networking and, other realtors and lenders and other people in the real estate world, like being personable, being able to talk to people, being able to, make your clients feel comfortable. If you are, a very social person, it makes a difference versus someone who's very introverted. It might be your clients might be scared to ask you questions, or they may be scared to open up, like, I'm nervous about this, or like, I don't understand this. But I think it definitely helps. It helps people loosen up and open up.
Sure.
Being social.
And so before we move on from your corporate life, how did you first get started with that? Did you just need a degree and then you applied, or did you know someone that worked there that helped get you in?
Okay, so I'm trying to remember now. It's a while ago. It was definitely my resume. So obviously, like, I think that getting that job right after college in the real estate office as office manager gave me some type of experience. I feel like I needed some type of, like, even if it was office experience, to get me in the door. So I started as it was a data coordinator. So I was essentially typing data into the computer, these huge reports. Like, I didn't even know what they were, like timelines for like production of toys. Okay. And I was just typing in like dates, and it was just like all day long doing that. Wow. But I was like, this is what I have to do to get my foot in the door. Okay. So yeah, so that's how I got in.
That doesn't sound like fun.
It was not.
Yeah.
It was not.
But were you able, is that a lot of what like corporate life is like? Like, I've never worked a corporate job, I guess. Like, I was in a restaurant, I was in the Army a little bit, or working in a school, so like I never was really at a desk. Yeah. But is a lot of desk work just like data entry, or was it a lot more than that?
No, so I definitely was in an entry level position. So you have all types of positions in, like, let's say Reebok, like a clothing company. You have marketing, you have designers, you have so many just production, like you have so many other positions you can be in. But when you're starting in corporate, if you're going to start at the lower end, you're probably going to do something along those lines. Sure. But as you move up, or if you even start, in a higher, different position, like if I would have started in marketing, let's say, like I would have been doing something different. But because I was like, I'm willing to take anything just to get my foot in the door. Sure. That's why, I started at that position.
I love the determination too. You're like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, I'm like, by any means. I'm like, if I have to be in the mailroom, I'll do it. But I'm getting in there. Yeah.
Okay. And so, what was your favorite position that you had during those 8 years?
It was definitely. So it was. I now have to remember the exact name.
Sure. Or you can describe what you were doing.
So basically, cost analyst, but It doesn't sound as exciting. It was a lot of reports, but the nice thing was that I got to go to Vietnam to actually go to the factories and like face to face with the people who are actually like making the products, and then the people who I would communicate every day like via email with.
Sure.
I got to meet them. I got to see like the actual scope of the work that they're doing, and that was like very impactful. And so that was my favorite position because of what I got to do.
And was it just because you got to meet the people producing it, or was it also that you got to travel too?
It was both.
Yeah.
Definitely both. Because the travel was like once in a lifetime type thing, you know, like hopefully I can go back to those places, but you know, maybe I'll never be able to go back to Vietnam or China. And especially doing it for work, you know, like it was just like incredible, such an incredible experience.
Have you traveled before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up, like my family has definitely, my family's from Puerto Rico, so every summer it was Puerto Rico. We'd
Sure.
be there multiple times a year, like just definitely have gone to Puerto Rico, Europe, Asia, just, yeah, I love to travel.
And so was that ever something that you thought of, or was it just, I'm going to go corporate, and then once you got out of college, then real estate was just in the back of your mind? Like, did you ever consider anything else?
No.
Yeah?
Now that I think about it, no. It was just corporate America, getting in there, doing something, climbing the ladder like I told you, and then, yeah, real estate because of that one job that I had and that one experience, that 1 year. It was always in the back of my mind. I'm like, I need to get my license again. And then, yeah, around 2018, I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to get it. And I did it part-time for a while, which any realtor will tell you, for the most part, it is so hard to do it part-time.
Really?
Really hard, yeah.
What were you doing on the other side, like, you know, to take up your time?
So I was still at Reebok.
Okay, sure.
And I was doing real estate.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
in
lot.
the beginning, it was really slow for me because when you start out in real estate, you're building your network, like you're trying to get clients. So at first it was manageable, maybe 1 or 2 clients. It was fine. I could handle, you know, text them here and there, after work, weekends. But then as it started to pick up, it's like I'm in meetings and people are calling me, but it's important things, like things need to be signed, things need to be negotiated, and I can't just leave them, you know, hanging, but I'm in a meeting, like, so it was just like, it got a little crazy. And then when I decided to go full time, it was around the COVID time. So that's when the real estate market got crazy, and the rates were so low that everyone was buying a house.
Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't even keep up. Like I was just like, I need to do this full time, or I need to stop. Like it was one or the other.
So what year did you make that transition?
So it was 2019 going into 2020. Yeah. And at the time, Reebok had moved from Canton to Boston.
Okay.
So the commute got really, really far. It was taking me like 2 hours and some change some days. Like,
Holy moly.
Yeah. So from like 45 minutes to like an hour to like 2 hours
Yeah.
to get to work. And I was like, I can't do this. So it was just like, it was a mix of things, but that was kind of,
But it worked out.
But it worked out.
Yeah, okay, because now you've been doing real estate for years.
Yeah. Yes,
And so you started with real estate in New Bedford or in a different area?
In New Bedford, yeah. Yep.
And so do you feel like you have a specialty when it comes to what kind of homes you're looking for, or is it just any kind of building or real estate that you're interested in?
I think just because, like I would say my specialty, because it's what I'm most experienced in, is a lot of first-time home buyers and then Spanish-speaking clients. So when I first started around 2018, there weren't that many Spanish-speaking agents. Like I was one in a few. Like there were not that many. And I was noticing that a lot of people who didn't speak Spanish were helping these Spanish-speaking clients purchase a home. So I'm just like, wait a second, like how did they even understand what they were getting into? And a lot of times they didn't, you know? Someone might, you know, they might, just because they wanted to make a sale, help someone, and all they knew was like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Firma aquí, which means like sign here, and like that's it, right?
Sure. They
sign, and then afterwards they're like, wait a second, what did I get into? And I would hear those stories, and I'm like, oh my, they're like, we didn't understand this, we didn't understand that, and I'm like, oh no, like you need to work with someone that speaks your native language. Like biggest purchase you'll ever make, someone needs to understand and explain to you like what you're signing. You need to understand everything, you know, from start to finish. So that's one big thing that, like, when I started out, it was like the Hispanic speaking community for the most part.
Was that ever a nerve-wracking concept to you, that you would be helping people with their biggest purchase?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's always nerve-wracking. It's always, you want to make sure people are happy with you, that they're in the right position, the right place. You want to make sure they're in the right home. For me, at least, it's always nerve-wracking because I want people to be happy, and I want them to be in the best position possible. So like, sometimes you'll see people getting themselves into a position and they're like, no, very adamant. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I am very against waiving home inspections, right? But it's a tactic for, like, to make your offer look better. You'll waive a home inspection, and some people it works out. you know, you have contractors, you have people who know a house inside and out that they may be like, I don't care what comes up on this home inspection. I have a whole team to fix it, right?
Sure.
Versus a first-time home buyer that's like, I'll waive it just because I really want this house, and it's just like, but you have no clue what could come up.
Why would they waive it? Just because it would take longer if you did it, or?
So the competition. So right now we're still, I'd say, in a seller's market, but especially during COVID times, you would have like 50, 60 offers sometimes on some properties. And,
oh, wow.
And yeah, so a tactic in order to get the seller to accept your offer would be, okay, like, let me make my offer more attractive and waive the home inspection. Some people would do that because then the seller's like, wait, that means they're not going to ask anything from me. They're not going to back out of the, out of the offer. Like,
sure.
Smooth sailing. Like, this is going to close. So a lot of people were doing that, and for me, that was like a huge no-no. And I had 2 clients that were so adamant that they did it, but afterwards they were calling me nonstop. Like, I found this, I found that. I'm like, guys, I told you not to waive it. So I'm really big about like, do not waive the home inspection. Like,
and so you mentioned that we're still in a seller's market, so versus a buyer's market.
I'd say, yeah. Like,
okay.
I would say it's getting a little easier for buyers because there's less. So the rates are so high, and that's kind of impacting buying power. People are finding there's plenty of creative ways to get around that. But because rates are high and there's low inventory in terms of like houses on the market, it creates this competition for buyers. So as soon as a house comes on the market, if it's in your price range, a lot of buyers are in the same price range. There's going to be a lot of competition. So in that sense, it's like seller's market, but I am seeing more buyers being able to ask for more things where, back in the COVID times, like, it was going to be tricky if you were asking for repairs or you were asking for closing costs. Like, there was a big chance you were not getting those things at that time.
Just because the seller didn't want to do the work, or because they had so many other offers?
Because they had so many other offers that weren't asking you to do the work. So they were like, let me go with this offer instead.
And so is the market either fixed, or has it become more balanced in those ways since COVID? Like, has it rebounded from COVID? Or are we still dealing with it?
I don't think it'll ever rebound fully from COVID.
Really?
I don't. I think it depends who you ask. I think it depends on the market you work in, like the area, the town, the city. I would say, like, it's kind of a case by case. I will say the interest rates being as high as they are haven't impacted a lot of my buyers. It has impacted their purchasing power, so they can't afford as much as they could before with a lower interest rate. So that's what I'll say in terms like my personal experience.
Sure. And are a lot of the buyers you come across, are they people from New Bedford trying to, level up their own living, or is it people from other suburbs or even Boston coming in to move?
So for me, it's mostly like local people.
Yeah?
Yeah, mostly like the first-time home buyers that I'm helping are mostly like local to this area for the most part. In terms of Boston people, I'll see it more when I have a listing on the sales side when I'm representing the seller. The people coming in to look at the property and submitting the offer, a lot of them are from Boston.
And why do you think that is?
The price point. Yeah, it's a much lower price point. So they're seeing that you can buy a 3-family here for $600,000, which sounds crazy now, but for $600,000, we're in Boston, that might be $1 million. Yeah.
And why are things so high? Please try to explain to someone who like really doesn't know much about like why one market might be more expensive than the other, or maybe just like explain like property value.
Okay.
If you can.
Well, I would say like you have Boston, right? Boston's the city. It's a large city.
Sure.
It's a hub. It's Boston, right? So property value is going to be a lot higher. You have people from all over the world living there, a much higher population than here. You have New Bedford, where what are we, an hour from Boston? It's a little different, right? Like your average income is different. The middle class looks different. The lower class, the upper class. It's just a very different population. So those people specifically are, they wouldn't necessarily be able to afford the same things that someone in Boston can with, a much higher salary.
Sure. And so comparing the house value, but also just like the price from New Bedford to Fairhaven and Dartmouth, would it be cheaper to buy a house in one of those towns rather than in New Bedford?
So New Bedford taxes are a little higher than those towns that you mentioned, but the price point in terms of properties are definitely going to be more affordable in New Bedford than the outside towns.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so can you go into detail about the taxes? Because I do hear a lot of people in New Bedford complaining.
I'll be honest, I don't know enough to go into details about it.
Sure.
But they are higher than, for example, they'll say like, okay, maybe you are approved for this amount in New Bedford, but I have to, a lot of lenders, right? They'll say, let me see the taxes before I give you a pre-approval on the specific property, because yeah, you might qualify for, let's say, $400,000, but if the taxes in New Bedford are, X amount, that's going to affect your monthly payment, or you might not even qualify for the same property.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the taxes in the outside towns are lower. I don't have the answers for that, though.
No, sure.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so would you recommend real estate to someone who is looking to get into it?
To become a realtor?
Yeah, sure.
It depends what your goal is, right? Like,
okay.
Yeah, like, are you looking for steady income that you're gonna get a paycheck every 2 weeks? Probably not. Like,
sure.
I wouldn't recommend it to that person. If
Okay.
there's some people that are very type A and they're like, I need to see what's coming when, like, that might not be the right fit, depending, right? Depending on the situation. I also think there's people, let's say that you are, your family's in real estate, or your family's, let's say, for example, contractors, or they're in that industry, electricians. You have like a really big network of people. Like, it might be easier for you to find clients, and you might have like, a lot of business, like consistent business. But
Sure.
I'd say for the average person, if you are looking to be your own boss, make your own hours, like, you get out of real estate what you put in. So if you're gonna put in, the time, the effort, the hours, like, learn the systems, like, implement the things that your broker's teaching you, absolutely, like, you can. I do recommend it if you're that person. If you're just gonna sit back and be like, I hope that clients come to me, like, twiddling my fingers at home, like, it's not gonna happen. Like,
Sure.
you need to, like, put in the work. And so if you want, let's say, something consistent that you're, like I said, every 2 weeks get a paycheck and, kind of do your job and then go home, real estate's not for you. It doesn't end. Like,
Sure.
It'll be 8 o'clock at night and someone's like, I saw this house, I want to see it tomorrow. Like, it's just never ending.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
never ending. And I've learned to create boundaries, but, there was once upon a time I'm answering people at 11 p.m. Like,
Oh, no.
no, now I've like, absolutely not. There's hard boundaries.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you would say that anyone who wants to go into real estate has to be somewhat of a risk taker?
I think that.
Okay.
I do personally. I think that you have to be a risk taker to do this, because you don't know. It's unpredictable, right? Like, you can be in contract and you're scheduled to close in 2 weeks, and that might fall apart. So what's next? What do you have next? If you don't have another deal
Sure.
pending, you might be waiting a month or two for your next paycheck. So you have to be able, you have to prepare for it. You have to, mentally prepare for it and financially prepare for that.
So what's the ideal amount of clients that you would suggest for people to have, just in case if something goes through, then you could still be okay?
I don't think there's like an exact number, but I think you're always preparing for like the next month. So like, let's say you're under contract with a client, like, don't get comfortable and just say, all right, we have a closing next month, boom, I'm covered. Like, no, you have to be working now for the next month. So definitely always have at least 2 deals going at once. Like, I would say that's important.
Okay.
Yeah, because like you said, like, if something falls apart, you want to make sure, all right, well, at least I'm closing on another one. But I mean, at least 2. You definitely want more than that, but at least 2. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say is too many clients? Like, if you heard like someone had this amount, you'd be like, okay, wow, how are you even dealing with it?
Yeah.
What number comes to mind for you?
I'd say if you have 10 clients and you're doing it solely by yourself without a transaction coordinator and like any support from someone from a team, like, that's a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd say like, yeah, because the thing is, you're scheduling your time, right? So you have to do showings, you're doing all these things. If you have 10 and I'll say very active clients, right? Because you have some clients that are passive and they're just kind of waiting to see. They might not be in a rush, so they might be like more like nurture clients that you're just kind of like, once the right house pops up, like, then they'll reach out to you. But if you have like 10 active clients that are like trying to see something every single weekend, that you're stretching yourself very thin.
Okay.
Definitely.
And so, going back to that risk taker mentality, where do you feel like you got that from? Because with corporate, it sounded like it was a pretty stable job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I will say I had a lot of support, like, from like people encouraging me, like my parents, like, they are like I talk to them every day, like, I make decisions with them, and then my husband as well. Like,
nice.
Just having them be like, hey, like, you got this, like, you'll figure it out. Just, they were completely on board, and like, they had faith in me to do it. So I think that's what like pushed me. Had I not had people saying like, hey, we'll catch you if you fall. If it doesn't work out, like, we'll figure it out, then I think I would have maybe not taken the risk, honestly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of support, but also confidence.
Yeah.
Along with like that extroverted personality, like, you need to like you said, you can't just sit back. You have to go after it,
Yeah.
have confidence to close the deal,
Yep.
and then even when you do feel insecure or alone, you need that support in order to be like, no, you do got this.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
And so you mentioned a team of like the coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have a team, and what does the team look like? Who are the members?
Yeah, so I'm part of the Matthew J. Ruda group, but we work under Compass. So we have like a satellite office here in New Bedford. So our headquarters are technically in Boston, and then we
Okay.
also have offices in Providence, Newport, all over Mass. But our satellite office is here in New Bedford, downtown New Bedford actually, which is nice, close to everything. And so we have office manager, we have a listing coordinator, our broker is Matthew J. Aruda, and then we have other team members that are just realtors, but they're a nice support system because, let's say you can't make a showing or a home inspection, whatever it is, you have these people to kind of rely on to kind of cover you. and
Okay,
have your
that's
back.
nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
I do like having a team for that reason. But a lot of realtors don't, they don't have a team. They're independent realtors and they, some people don't need it or want it.
And so, what's the benefit of that? Like, do you, when you have a team, do you have to split your profits at all?
No, so
Okay.
for me personally, I needed someone to, so I got to a point, so I had my son and I took a maternity leave and I was gone for I didn't really do much for, I would say 6 months solid. So I was referring my business a lot. I kind of got comfortable at home, so once I wanted to jump back into real estate again and be all right, I'm ready to go ham again, I needed accountability. And as a solo agent, I could just be at home and not sell a single
what you
thing.
want.
And no one
Yeah.
would know. No one would know what I'm doing, what calls I'm making. No one's there checking on me. Hey, what happened with this client? Or did you call this person? So, I was falling into a place where I was just kind of getting too comfortable. So I was like, I think I need to join a team. And I had been on teams before, but I was like, all right,
Okay.
this is time for me to join a team so I can have we all have a group text, and if we have questions about anything, it's like, hey, does anyone know an electrician? Or, there's a new form. Who knows what form, we're using? And just having that team and that support for me was so important. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's nice to have your family, but also it's really great to have people who know what you're talking about and can help
Definitely.
answer those
Yes.
questions.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so, as we're wrapping up, you just mentioned, the broker, and that's probably the top person in the team.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
okay.
broker owner. Yeah.
Okay.
He owns our, yeah.
And so, is that something you aspire for? Like one day you would want to be a broker?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Right now I would say I'm very comfortable. I'm, my son's 3 years old, and I like the fact that I'm able to just be there for him. My husband travels for work, so having that flexibility to just be able to be there no matter what happens. If he's sick, if I need to pick him up early, or just whatever comes up in life. So having that, so I think right now I'm really comfortable where I am. But eventually, yeah, as he gets older, I definitely can see myself being in that position and growing in that position.
And would you want to move up in this group, or would you want to eventually start your own?
I'm not sure yet.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll see. For me, so with real estate, every transaction is different. Everything, I'm learning something new every single day. And I feel like everyone learns something new. Even the top producers, the best of the best, everything's different. Something can happen that has never happened before in another transaction.
Okay.
So you're always learning. So I really like having that person to go to and be like, hey, this just came up, never dealt with this before. What are your thoughts? How should I navigate this? So I do like that. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Yeah.
But you like where you're at right now?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
And so that really wraps up part one.
Okay.
Part two, I really want to ask you, from a buyer's perspective, but also on a realtor's perspective, what would be some do's and don'ts, or
Okay.
some advice when buying a house or trying to sell it?
Okay.
And then we can go from there.
Okay.
That sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone, this has been my conversation, part one, with Lisa Ortiz-Capello, the realtor, and catch us in part two, where we'll continue this conversation. Thanks for watching. Peace.